and approaches for family planning and women's empowerment. Given the government's focus on improving population characteristics and fostering healthier community, this discussion could not have been planned at a better time. Family planning today is not just a health concern, it impacts social, cultural, and economic dimensions as well. It is at this intersection of social and cultural dimensions where our topic of today stems from to deliberate on how we can leverage faith based approaches to support family planning and women's empowerment. These approaches hold the potential to play a pivotal role in addressing cultural and social barriers, giving the deep roots of faith and tradition in everyday life. With this in mind, let me invite our esteemed speakers to give their opening remarks. First, I welcome Mr. Yves Sassenrath, the representative of United Nations Population Fund Egypt Country Office, to start with his opening remarks.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Your Excellency, Deputy Minister of Health and Population, dear friend, Dr. Abla, and obviously His Excellency, Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Health and Population, Dr. Khafar, who is our host for this beautiful, important conference. Mr. Hugo Hagen, Senior Representative of Bayer Middle East, Professor Gamal Serour, Representative of the Al-Azhar University, Father Antonio Sobhy from the Bishopric of Public, Ecumenical and Social Services, also known as BLESS. Dear friends, dear esteemed colleagues and guests, it is a true pleasure for me, and I think it's a very fitting hall that we sit in here today at the end of a very busy first day of a very successful Congress, that I would like to congratulate the ministry for this titanic task. But I think the hall is fitting for the topic that we would like to address today, which is talking about faith and how much faith is important to our deepest beliefs and what we do in life and what we think is the right thing to do in life, because we believe in it. So distinguished speakers, esteemed colleagues, honorable guests, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum and good afternoon to you all. It is my great honor and privilege on behalf of the United Nations Population Fund in Egypt to welcome you to this important panel discussion on faith, voices for family planning and women's empowerment, faith-based approaches in fostering healthy communities. As we gather here today, we recognize the vital role that religious leaders play in shaping people's behaviors and choices. Worldwide, many of us, I would say almost all of us, are spiritual, and many of us are religious. This makes faith and belief a powerful, if not the most powerful force for social and cultural change. As we know today, lasting change at a human level, I would say, always comes from within. And I would also dare to say it's the same for countries and societies. This understanding is the foundation of the United Nations Population Fund in Egypt cooperation with faith-based organizations and religious leaders, because we are, at the end of the day, the Population Fund. Our shared goals extend beyond improving the lives of girls and women. It aims to create a positive ripple effect throughout society. By empowering women and girls, we strengthen families and enrich communities. By empowering women and girls, we strengthen families, and we are empowering leads to enhance economic productivity, improved public health, stronger educational outcomes, and more resilient social structures. These improvements contribute to greater prosperity for all members of society and are essential for a country and a society to be prosperous, healthy, and successful. UNFPA in Egypt has been active in engaging with faith-based communities to promote voluntary family planning and women's empowerment. We recognize that religious narratives play a vital role in shaping social norms, especially addressing persistent myths and misconceptions and social cultural barriers that make progress to address certain practices like child marriage, family planning, female genital mutilation, and others, sometimes very challenging. In partnership with the Ministry of Health and Population, and I would like to particularly salute Dr. Abla's personal engagement in her role as Vice Minister under the leadership of Dr. Jafar, UNFPA has been strengthening family planning, service delivery, and increased demand for these services. A key aspect of our strategy involves actively engaging faith leaders and institutions. We've been working closely with Al-Azhar University and BLESS to promote Islamic and Christian perspectives that support family planning. These partnerships have been crucial in developing culturally grounded approaches to voluntary family planning. These collaborations have achieved tangible results, and we know they are very close at heart of the President, His Excellency Al-Sisi. Through our joint efforts, we have developed culturally sensitive educational materials on family planning that are now being used in community outreach programs. Hundreds of religious leaders that were trained and are now advocates for women's health and empowerment in their communities. Moreover, there is an evident increase in the acceptance of family planning methods in areas where religious leaders have been actively involved, because at the end of the day, they have the ears of the community. Our work together has also contributed to raising awareness about practices and effects of gender-based violence and female genital mutilation, leading to a gradual shift in societal attitudes. What is very special today in this event is a testament to the power of multi-stakeholder collaboration in addressing myths, misconceptions, and social cultural barriers to family planning and other practices that are a challenge to advance towards healthier societies, especially with women and girls at the center. This diverse group of voices is essential for creating comprehensive culturally sensitive approaches to fostering healthy communities. And I would like to really thank from the bottom of my heart and recognize and see the true value in our partnership with Bayer that exemplifies the importance of global and national, and why not also local, private sector engagement in these efforts. Their commitments to improving access to modern family planning methods and addressing socio-cultural barriers complements our work and demonstrates how different sectors can unite for a common cause. And might I also dare to say, they go far beyond a global multilaterals and multinationals economic goals, because they have understood that they play a very important role to make this world a more just place, especially for women and girls. And I would like to thank Bayer for their leadership in this around the world. I had the pleasure to work with Bayer when I was representative in Brazil some years ago, and I'm so happy to see that we have this partnership in the Middle East and especially in Egypt. As we move forward in our discussions today, let us remember the transformative power of our collective efforts. By combining faith-based approaches with scientific knowledge and multicultural partnerships, we are creating a powerful force for positive change in Egypt and beyond. I thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Sassenrath, for your insightful. Next, I would like to call Mr. Hugo Hagen, Senior Buyer Representative and Country Division Head, Pharmaceutical Buyer, Middle East and North Africa region.
Thank you. Excellencies, distinguished guests, esteemed colleagues, UNFPA partners, panelists, and speakers, I have to start by saying it's great to be back in Egypt. This is now the second time in 2 years, and I'm honored to be invited back to this fantastic event. And before I go to my script, and Sami, don't get a heart attack now because I'm jumping off script here, I just have to share with you. So I called a couple of friends and family back home and told them, you know, this week I'm going to spend in Egypt. And you hear this envy in their voice. Oh, right? They really want to be here. Back home now, I think it's about between 5 to 10 degrees. It's raining. The days are getting really short. So I told them what I'm going to experience when I'm here in Egypt this week. And it's fantastic. And I've said it before, despite and with all empathy and sympathy for the challenges this country is going through at the moment, you are a fantastic people. You know, not only from the people perspective, the food perspective, you know, the cultural perspective, it is a wonderful country. Thank you. But it is my honor here today to represent Bayer at this fantastic event. Faith Voices for Family Planning and Women's Empowerment. I would say, wow. As we gather here in Egypt's new capital, we are united by a powerful vision to empower women and families with the knowledge and means to make informed choices about their reproductive health. At Bayer, we firmly believe that access to family planning is not only a matter of health, it is a fundamental human right. Our collaboration with the United Nations Population Fund and the Egyptian Ministry of Health and Population exemplifies our commitment to this principle. Egypt has made remarkable strides in family planning initiatives. The contraceptive prevalence has risen to more than 60%, and the fertility rates have decreased to little less than 3 children per woman of reproductive age. These achievements underscores the effectiveness of targeted family planning programs in enhancing maternal and child health. Is it all rosy and shiny? Are we done? No, we're not. There still are a few challenges that we are facing. The use of contraceptive methods have declined slightly, and the use of modern contraceptive methods has also declined slightly. And 30%, that's 1 out of 3 women, discontinue their chosen family planning method within the first year. So what can we do? One of the things we can do is by partnering. And our partnership with the UNFPA supporting Your Right to Plan campaign aims to reach more than 200,000 women with modern contraceptives and provide 300,000 women with access to essential reproductive health education and services. And we have some fantastic partners to join us in these initiatives. Al-Azhar University and organizations such as BLESS, we can challenge harmful beliefs and advocate for reproductive rights more effectively than ever. The engagement of religious leaders are crucial. And I'm so happy to see you here today. It's a great honor. Thank you so much. They are respected figures whose guidance can reach a wide audience and effect meaningful change. Through initiatives like the International Islamic Center for Population Studies and Research at Al-Azhar University and the work of Bless, we are addressing population growth issues, trying to dispel misconceptions and promoting informed choices about family planning. As we embark on this journey together, let us remember that it's our collective efforts that can create a supportive environment that leads to significant change. Beautifully said by you, change comes from within and not from the outside. Together, we can foster healthier communities and work towards our shared goal, health for all. And I look forward to the insightful discussions that will unfold today as we continue to break barriers and improve access to modern family planning methods in Egypt. Thank you so much.
Lastly, we are honored to welcoming the Deputy Minister of Health and Population for Population Affairs and Family Development and the head of the National Population Council, Dr. Abla Alalfy, to share her additional remarks before we move on to the panel discussion.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Dear panel members, Dr. Yves Sassenrath, the UNFPA Egypt office leader, and Dr. Hugo Hagen, Bayer Mina, all members of UNFPA attending with us here, all the members of Bayer company, and all the audience. Really, I can say that I'm very lucky woman because I joined the Ministry of Health in this particular time to be in charge of the population file. Actually, Egypt have passed through a very long journey trying to work on the population file since 1994 when we had the first ICPD. And we moved through from talking about reduction of number of deliveries in Egypt to the stage where now we talk about human development and human characteristics and the empowerment of the family for informed decision regarding the number and the space between their children. And here stand the very important part of the equation, that we are behind empowering the family with the woman at the center of the family to have informed decision regarding their reproductive health. And if they do that, they will have informed decision about all aspects of their rights, because now they will have the skills and the art to have the informed decision. And this will what will take Egypt forward for the future we look for. I'm really very proud that you congratulated Egypt for the progress they have done throughout the last years. And being a member of this country, watching the paradigm moving through the development, which I can see, is really calling for more and more aggressive work by everybody in charge of Ministry of Health and all our friends and supporters from the international organizations and the companies who are really supporting us all the way through, because we feel now that we are started to reach to the goal. Now we have total fertility rate of every woman of 2.54. And we are very optimistic that next year will come down to 2.4 something. And this is really a dream which came to true. Egypt never had this number. And the issue which is more important, that these children started to have their full right in optimal start in the first golden 1,000 days and the early childhood. And this what will make the future of this country. Now these children had very optimized care during their intrauterine life and also through their early childhood. Talking about face issues, actually, since I started the job, I started to go and meet people in every governorate in Egypt. And not the key persons, not the authority, but the lay people and the women everywhere in Upper Egypt, in Lower Egypt, in the borders. And I talk to them and I find that there is a lot of maturity among our women, even in the way they think and the way they handle the issue of the population issue completely different than before. Even thinking that the children are economic power, that they say that Egyptians take the children as economic power, they let them to work as children and earn money to support the family. Now you find many of the women say, no, I want to see my child as a doctor, as a lawyer, as an engineer. She can take a lot of her own to support her children for education and for future. And that's why if you look for the indices, you find that we have improvement in the education rate among the children. Now we can say there is no run from education like before. We have almost 99% in primary school, and we have almost something like 98% in the second in the education in the secondary school. This mean what? This mean that the families have learned the lesson, but we need to help them more to have the optimization of the quality rather than just an education. And this apply again to the work. We have yesterday we're revising how much the percentage of women who are not working in the age from 15 to 29, and was 40% of these women are not working. But looking in depth, we found a lot of women who have a small business at home, and they can support earning money to support their children. So women in Egypt now, they are not the same women which we learned about them 30 years ago. Things have been changed. And this is what we are calling for all the international organizations who are working with us to come and dig with us. In Egypt, 2024, we need to learn more about our families, their needs, our women, their needs, what is going on, their vision regarding their reproductive health. We need to change the self-esteem of the girl when she is born. Initially, we had, thinking among Egyptian families that if you get a girl, this is a disadvantage rather than an advantage. And this create a low self-esteem among girls from the beginning. They feel that they are the second sex. But now we were trying to tell the mothers, boys are equal to girls. And even sometimes the girls can support the family more than the boys. So we need the girls themselves to feel proud of themselves being girls. And this needs a lot from the beginning, from the mother when she feels that she is pregnant in a girl. This is not something down, because if she feel down, her baby will feel down inside, and the low self-esteem will start from the first 9 months intrauterine, when her behavior outside, telling the girl, do this and do this and do this, and telling the boy, go and study and learn because we need to see you in a better situation. This again create low self-esteem among our girls, that they are not equal to the boys. And this all need a lot of social development. even the social norms which are here in Egypt, a lot of social norms which need to change regarding fertility, regarding reproductive health, regarding schooling for girls, regarding even mode of delivery and the behavior regarding the newborn, and all. We have a high list of social norms which we need help to change this. That's why I'm saying I'm lucky, because now we have all the country, from the president to the prime minister to our minister of health, going many steps forward, extra miles in the population file, trying to achieve the success. And that's why now we said, and our minister said yesterday, that population and the human development are two sides of one coin. And this is going to help us a lot in the population file, because it is going to be taken from the area of developing a human rather than reducing the number. And as we mentioned yesterday also, that there is many countries are facing a problem because of the low number of low level of fertility. And this is, I think, is a very luxurious and very good chance for Egypt, that we have, yes, we have a bit highish number of delivery, which we look to reduce, reaching to 2.1 by 2030, and we hope this will be by 2027. But the good thing about it, that in the Egyptian family survey, when they asked the mother, what is the good number you feel, they said 2.1. And when they said, what is the ideal number, they said 2.9. And when they asked youth who are not married as a female, what is the best number, they said 2.4. And the girl said 2.4, and the male said 2.9. So nobody started to say 4, 5, 6 like before. We are very lucky to have this. And what we need to do now, that we need to reach by the 2.9 and the 2.4 to 2.1. And I think 3 to 4 years with the support of the UNFPA, the support of Bayer, the support of World Bank and all the international organization, and by the extra support of the Egyptian higher authority, president and prime minister, and our are very lucky to have a minister like Dr. Khaled Abdelhalim. We are going to achieve the goal. I'm very optimistic that we are going to do it. And by 2027, 2028, we'll be sitting here celebrating having the total fertility rate of 2.1. Thank you very much.
Thank you again to our speakers for setting the tone. With these powerful opening remarks, we now move on to the next segment of our event, which is the panel discussion on faith-based approach to fostering healthy communities. Thank you so much. Dr. Abla. For this interesting session, I would like now to invite our moderator and the panelists on the stage. Mr. Sami Joost, the head of public affairs for Bayer Middle East, who have an extensive experience in public health advocacy, community engagement, and is fostering a cross-sector collaboration, which will help him in guiding this strategic conversation. For the panelists, I would like to invite to the stage Professor Dr. Gamal Serour, Professor of Obstetric and Gynecology, Director of the International Islamic Center for Population Studies and Research, and former Dean of the Faculty of Medicine at Al-Azhar University in Cairo. Father Antonius Sobhy, the Coptic Orthodox Church, from the Coptic Orthodox Church in Egypt. Alongside Dr. Samer Lezzaiq, Vice President, Head of Global Health Unit in Bayer AG. Okay, so it's here. Okay.
Well, thank you so much, Maha, and of course to all of our speakers previously for setting the stage for this really crucial dialogue. And also thank you for the panelists to join us. We just noted that we have Dr. Jaqueline Azer and Dr. Khaled Abdelhalim joining potentially at a later point in time. However, in the interest of time, we're going to kick it off already. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, as we have heard before in the opening remarks section, we stand at the critical juncture in Egypt's development journey. Family planning is no longer just a health concern, it's a cornerstone, as you rightfully outlined, Dr. Abla, of socio-economic progress. Consider this. According to the Egyptian Health Survey in 2021, every 14 seconds, a new life enters our world here in Egypt. Yet 16% of pregnancies are reported as unwanted. And I put this in quotation marks, right? And despite a contraceptive prevalence rate of 59%, we still face a 13% of unmet need for family planning. So these statistics obviously aren't just numbers. They represent real lives, real families, and real challenges that we must address all together. This is where our discussion today becomes pivotal. And we are here, of course, to explore faith-based approaches to fostering healthy community. Why? Because in Egypt, faith isn't just part of life, it's the bedrock of society. And today we are privileged to have a panel that represents this crucial intersection of faith, governance, and healthcare. We have voices from Islamic and Coptic traditions. We have voices from government officials, healthcare experts, and representatives from the private sector. So without any further ado, let's begin this important conversation today. And I want to turn to Professor Gamal Serour. If we kick it off as a first round of introduction with the following, how do you think Islamic teachings and theological interpretations support family planning and women's empowerment, particularly in Egypt's kind of socio-economic context?
Thank you very much. First of all, I would like to thank the organizing committee for inviting me and for UNFPA and buyers as well for supporting this important session. Well, to answer your question, yes, indeed, faith-based organization can play a major role in improvement of the contraceptive prevalence and in reducing the unmet need of contraception. And this is by dispelling misconception about the position of Islam on family planning. And it is important, as you correctly mentioned, that in our society and in the eastern parts of the world, religion plays a major role in the control of the behavior of the people and on the practice of the people. So there had been a misconception that family planning is against Islamic tradition, that family planning limits the population of the Muslim world, that family planning is Western ideas, Western implication to reduce the size of the Muslim population. Well, it is important for the religious faith-based organization, whether Muslim or Christian, to clarify to the public that this is not true and that Islam indeed had called for family planning because there is no nas, there is no verses in the Holy Quran which forbids family planning. On the contrary, in the Holy Quran, there are verses which encourage family planning. The Holy Quran orders us to breastfeed our children for 2 years. And natural contraception is by breastfeeding. So this is one way of contraception. And if we go also by the traditions of the Prophet Muhammad, peace upon him, during his time, his companion told him that we are using coitus interruptus as a method of contraception, and he did not forbid them, and there was no verses of the Holy Quran revealing that this practice is harmful and it should not be done. Now, by analogy, which is one of the sources of Islamic Sharia, then you find that temporary method of contraception available today, like contraceptive pills, implants, intrauterine device, hormonal contraception, all these are temporary methods of contraception. So by analogy, they are similar to coitus interruptus and breastfeeding, which had been used in the past.
Right.
Now, it is important that you relay this information to the religious leader, imams, wa'azat, preachers, whether male or female preacher, so that they can educate the public that Islam is not against contraception. On the contrary, it does contribute to improvement of health of women, as was correctly mentioned. It does contribute to the prosperity of the society. It does contribute to the health of the children and newly born, and the preservation of the progeny, because again, Islamic Sharia call for preservation of self and progeny. And by providing contraception, you are protecting the health of the woman, and also you are protecting the health of the newly born. And it is important that when this message is relayed to the public, that it is associated with the scientific part of it, because when you have the scientific part of the risks of high parity and risks of too early pregnancy or too late pregnancy or too close pregnancies or too many pregnancies, when you have this basic information about all these risks, then your religious message becomes more powerful and becomes actually more effective for the public. Now, having said so, that we cannot, of course, teach all the imams and preachers, wa'azat. That's why we must also embark on, as we did at Al-Azhar, on training of the trainers, a step-down training, so that you train some of the religious leader, and then this religious leader, they also train their peers, so that you spread the word around.
So you're basically building advocacy.
Absolutely, you are putting advocacy.
Well,
Not only this, but also the students who are studying at the schools or university, they should be informed about these issues, so that when they grow up and they start to build up a family, then they are well aware of these issues, and they will be seeking for family planning. They will be seeking for positive parenting. They will be seeking for maintenance of the wide space of childbirth, and for the choice of the right age to get pregnant, and also the number of pregnancies which the woman should have.
thank you so much, Professor Gamal. And I want to invite also Father Antonius to come in and kind of comment on how you think the church and Christian teaching can extensively contribute to promoting family planning and reproductive health services in those communities, which also Professor Gamal has rightfully pointed to.
Okay, I speak in Arabic.
Okay, fine.
regards يعني بالنسبه للموضوع بتاع الفاميلي بلاننج ان تشيرش عن كريستيان ريليجن، الموضوع ببساطه شديده جدا هو ان هل لو احنا سالنا اي انسان عادي هل الله يهتم بالعدد ام بالكيف بتاع الانسان؟ لو الله بيهتم بالعدد يبقى اذا مفيش داعي للفاميلي بلاننج. لكن احنا عندنا في الانجيل عكس كده تماما، يقول لك لا تشتهي كثرة الأولاد لا خير فيهم، وولد واحد يتقي الرب خير من 1000 من المنافقين. فدي آيات محددة واضحة جدا في الكتاب المقدس بتأيد تنظيم النسل. الهدف مش العدد، الهدف الكيف. بمعنى الطفل او الولد الصغير اللي اتولد او البنت اللي هتتولد ديت ازاي تكون فعلا هي ناضجه بدنيا وصحيا ونفسيا وروحيا. ده هيبقى لنفسها ولمجتمعها ولاسرتها ولكنيستها. لان لما يكون في الكنيسه اعضاء ضعفاء ده هيأثر على قوه الكنيسه نفسها. وبالتالي احنا في الكنيسه بندعم وبننادي بتنظيم الاسره. عايز اقول لحضرتك مثلا احنا في اسقفيه الخدمات بننظم ندوات تقريبا في معظم القرى بتاعت مصر عشان نقول لهم رأي الدين المسيحي السليم في تنظيم الأسرة. نقول لهم تنظيم الأسرة ده جزء من الدين المسيحي، ما هواش حاجة ضد الدين المسيحي أو حاجة بتعارض إرادة ربنا أو بتعارض الإرادة الإنسانية أو فيها أي حاجة مخالفة للدين خالص. وبالتالي إحنا بندعم هذه القضية. ده مش كده وبس، ده الكنيسة نفسها برئاسة البابا تودروس نفسه أو أصدرت وثيقة بتدعم تنظيم الأسرة، بتقول رأي الدين، بحيث ان اي انسان بيبقى اي واحد مسيحي يبقى عارف فعلا ان احنا ان هذا رأي الدين المسيحي مش رأي بس شخصي. ويمكن زي ما قال الدكتور جمال احنا ككنيسه بندعم او بنبتدي نعمل تريننج للترينرز، يعني TOT لكل رجال الدين، بحيث ان هو يقدر يقدم هذه الخدمه اللي تحتيه وهكذا، بحيث نقدر نوصل لكل الانسان البسيط اللي في قريه بسيطه خالص يقدر يعرف فعلا راي الدين المسيحي، ان الكنيسه والدين المسيحي بيدعم فكره تنظيم الاسره.
مشكور Antonius. Dr. Abla, coming back to you and also kind of building on your remarks in the opening section, could you share some more insights of concrete government initiatives which are currently ongoing in family planning and how partnerships with private as well as with faith-based organizations contribute to the success of these initiatives?
Let me tell you that coming from faith issues, we used the quotes from Quran to change the philosophy of family planning. Because we said we are not going to talk about family planning, but we will talk about spacing of pregnancy. And then we needed to let the women and the families, even the grandparents, accept the idea of spacing of pregnancy 3 to 5 years. And in the Quran, there is a quote says that the mother should stick to her child throughout pregnancy and the first 2 years of life. And they didn't say care for or help, but they said stick to. And this means that she can't take another child with him, because in the Quran also they say that he, like Professor Gamal mentioned, he has the right for full time breastfeeding, which is 2 years. So 2 years for his development and the 2 years for his nutrition. And we started to talk to the women about the rights of the child in optimal care and development based on faith-based idea. And was very astonishing that the women started to tell you, doctor, tell me what method can I use to space pregnancy till I make sure that my baby take the full chance of proper induction of life and proper care. So we can use faith-based issues wrongly, that talking only in number, and it will click with many people, which you will never be able to change their mind. And even the people who are working, like sheikh or himself may not be convinced.
Right.
He may just listen to you, but when he leave you, he go and say, no, don't do this, take and get more children. But talking to her with the benefits of her child, which nobody of us have more important in his life than his children. So they start listening to you. And this is one of the initiatives which the Ministry of Health have focused on now, that spacing of pregnancy based on the rights of the child in optimal care during pregnancy and during the first 2 years of life, and the rights of the coming child for his mother to get ready for him at least for 1 hour by her health and her psychology, and by that you are optimizing also the woman's right in optimal care during this period of reproduction. The second thing which we are doing now in Ministry of Health, that we are trying to get rid of the 13.8% unmet needs. And we started to analyze what is the unmet needs in Egypt and in all the areas. And we find first is the availability of the contraception tools. Second, the availability of trained staff to be able to help the woman if she need any contraception. And third is the availability of trained person to give her the proper counseling if she need any help during her reproductive life. And we worked on the three of them. Now we have the contraception given freely for all for all ladies who want to have a spacing of pregnancy, not only in Ministry of Health, but also in university hospitals. And we give it with the least cost to the private sector. This is a second issue, and we have a reserve to help us to cover our way through, so we don't allow that it comes a time that we don't have the long-acting methods or the new method as well. The third issue is covering the primary health care and the hospitals with the working staff who is fit to do this. And actually, this was a big gap in Egypt. We had, when I started, we had 60% of our primary health care, they have no doctor to put the contraception. And the woman wants, and she wants space, and she wants not to get children, but when she goes, she don't find someone to help her.
Right.
And this we could cover by increasing the manpower from Ministry of Health by 43%. And just yesterday, we had a protocol for collaboration with the university hospitals to help us with covering the primary health care, to have 100% coverage of all our primary health care. And the third one, we go to the private sector. And actually we were very lucky that the prime minister said, write the budget you need and we are going to make it available. So this is second thing. The third thing was the unintended pregnancy, as you mentioned, or unwanted pregnancy. And this is 20%, 20.5% of our pregnancies are unintended or unwanted. I like the unintended and I don't like the unwanted. And really we looked at it and we find that this is coming because of unavailability of the unmet needs and the counseling.
Right. Dr. Abla, if I may just come in and then invite Samar, Lezzaiq also to provide a perspective from a private sector perspective. I mean, you are touching base on a lot of topics which, you know, are part of our commitments and values as Bayer, but also obviously subject to our partnership with UNFPA in collaboration with the Ministry of Health and Population. So Samar, if you can provide a perspective on what role you see the private sector has played in supporting national health initiatives so far, and how do you view opportunities to further scaling these at national level?
Thank you so much, Sami, and esteemed panelists and guests. It's really great to be here with you today. I have to start with something one of the most maverick counselors of Germany have said. Can you hear me? Yep. Still not in the back? Any better?
No, it's good.
Now it's good. Okay. So his name is Willy Brandt, and he said, if I'm selling you, I speak your language. If I'm buying, dann müssen Sie Deutsch sprechen. You have to speak my language, right? And I think if I would use the Egyptian phrase, if I would use Arabic, ريح الزبون, right? This is how he would say it. To start any public-private partnership, there has to be a foundation.
Yes.
As a private company, what we look into and what we have seen in Egypt is this important success triad when it comes to family planning. So there is a successful vision that is aspiring to have significant economic growth by 2030. And there is absolutely a senior leadership that knows if you have uncontrolled population overgrowth of the old 3 and 3.5 fertility rate, it will eat up any economical growth. So healthcare is an investment. So the government in Egypt sees that healthcare is an investment, and therefore they have put a significant plan towards it. Now we come to the active civil society and religious society engagement. We find that on both sides of the mosque and the church, there is consensus that healthy spacing between children is the right thing to do, and therefore contraception is advised. When we look at that, we see that the foundation, as a private company, we see that the foundation is there for a successful program to be implemented. And I totally love the way you say it. We know that in the whole world, half of the pregnancies are unintended and unplanned, even in places where there are services. So that's why there is an important role for continued education. So this completes the third triad, and we seek like-minded partners, which we have in the United Nations Population Fund. And we have been really happy that we got the chance to deal with a lot of their programs and sponsor them in Egypt and in other places as buyer. We have currently active programs in Egypt, in India, in a couple of countries in Latin America. And I have just to say that here, I congratulate the colleagues in Egypt because it is the most successful program so far, and it is achieving its numbers even before the end of the program. So congratulations. As I was preparing for this session, I know that in Maktab al-Ihsa, in the statistics department in Egypt, they have a clock and they count the number of newborns. And until the month of August, there were only 750,000 newborns out of 108 million. So for a fertility rate of 2.54, this means that you would expect at least 1.2 million. So the programs are working, and it's working this year, and I'm hopeful that it will be really exceeding your expectations. Okay, now we know in Egypt, half of the population is born on the 1st of October because of the schools. So I hope that this doesn't happen now. We will wait and look. But still, the trend is going in the right way. And that's what makes companies like Bayer really become so proud, building on these triad of success, a vision with leadership, effective civil engagement from the religion as well as the government. And the third is to identify an intra-government body that is so active and really goes to the last mile, the last point of service. So we're really proud to be members of this success, and congratulations again.
Thank you so much, Samar. And before we take or open the floor for the audience here in the room for addressing additional questions, I want to take the opportunity, obviously, since having faith leaders here on the panel to, bring in Professor Gamal as well as Father Antonius. But maybe let me turn first to Professor Gamal, particularly on the role of, private sector, and how do you see the role, particularly of corporates and their contributions to address the topic of family planning can actually support faith-based approaches, even more so through dedicated partnerships such as with UNFPA, with the Ministry of Health and Population? Do you see additional avenues in this regard?
Yes, certainly, yes, I do see additional avenues in this regards, particularly the private sector and the drug companies, of course. This is very important to make the contraceptives available at a reduced price, because one of our problems over a number of years was the high cost of contraceptives. And people who wanted to have a contraceptive, they could not have it. And this resulted in increased unintended pregnancies.
Right.
And consequently, this collaboration is extremely important, that the international organization like UNFPA, drug industry, should really play a role in this. Added to this, the healthcare provider in the private sectors, they got actually to have this as a national goal. That it is not only that I'm a private doctor providing the service for such and such a amount of fees. I should contribute as a healthcare provider in the private sector to promote the use of contraceptives by various methods, either by reducing my fees or by getting subsidized contraceptive devices or drugs and plants from companies at reduced price so that I can provide it to my client at a lower cost. And this certainly will increase the acceptability and will increase also the utilization of the various methods of contraception. So there is a lot actually of collaboration which the private sector can provide based on the fact that we are removing conscientious objection to contraceptives, because as was correctly said, some people say that, well, no, it is not. I'm not going to provide it. Something haram. By the role of the faith-based organization clarifying this role, this will overcome conscientious objection to the use of contraceptives.
Yep, very much in agreement with your point on, so to speak, access to vital medicines in connection with consideration when it comes to affordability.
Yeah.
And that's something Bayer is very much committed to as part of their partnerships with the ministry and beyond that, of course. Father Antonius, coming back to you, and I want to turn, so to speak, the last part of this closed conversation before we open back to the room, a little bit on the role of women and how they're being empowered on the one hand, but also being enabled for making right-based decisions. So could you kind of give us your thoughts on the effectiveness to address social cultural barriers to foster women empowerment and informing and entertaining right-based decision? And how does faith-based approaches play a vital and important role in that?
اوكي يعني تمكين المرأة وتمكين المرأة ده من الحاجات الأساسية للكنيسة أو الدين اللي بنعتمد عليها. يعني من ضمن الحاجات المهمة اللي بنعملها مثلا بنعمل فصول محو الأمية، ودي بتبقى مستهدفة أكتر يعني الستات أو المرأة يعني اللي هي الغير متعلمة. إحنا عندنا ناس وصلت من منح الأمومية، وصلوا خدوا دبلومات وماجستيرات ودكتوراه في حاجات في حاجات يعني علمية عالية جدا يعني. ده طبعا بتشجيع من الكنيسه نفسها، بتشجيع من الراجل الدين، بتشجيع من الناس كلها، لان انت المراه المتعلمه او اللي هي بتبتدي تتعلم هتبتدي ان هي هتقدر انها اولا تكون مع اولادها، تقدر تربي اولادها بطريقه سليمه صح، هتقدر هي تكون برضو تساعد اسرتها من الناحيه الماديه. ففي من كل النواحي الكنيسه بتهتم جدا بهذه الناحيه. مش كده وبس، احنا ككنيسه كمان برضو بنعمل من خلال اسقفيه الخدمات بنعمل المشروعات، قروض المشروعات الصغيره. بنحاول ان احنا نعمل دراسات جدوى لمشروعات صغيره في قرى معينه مثلا في اماكن معينه، ونبتدي نشجع المراه ان هي اللي تاخد هذا القرض وهي اللي تبتدي انها تشتغل بيه وتسدده وترجعه تاني. وده طبعا حاجات بتمكن المراه انها تبقى ليها حته استقلال المادي. دي بتبقى اولا بتساعدها هي شخصيا، بتحس بنفسها، بتحس ان هي فعلا شخصيه مهمه ما هياش حاجه مهمشه. وتاني حاجه هي كمان بتبتدي انها تساعد اسرتها من الناحيه الماديه. فدول نقطتين اساسيين بنبتدي ان احنا بنعمل فيهم تمكين للمراه. كمان بنقدم طبعا مع اليو ان اف بي اي واليونيسيف بنبتدي ان احنا نقدم برامج ونبتدي نعمل حاجات توعيه لمحاربه العنف ضد المراه، بحيث مثلا حته العنف دي والتمييز مثلا بين الذكر والانثى، كل الامور ديت بنبتدي ان احنا من خلال رجال الدين بنبتدي ان احنا نعلمها للسيدات، بحيث ان هي تبتدي ان هي تبقى يعني ما هياش يعني حاسه بنفسها انها لو ستاندرد، لا هي حاسه انها فعلا لا هي ليها اهميتها وليها قيمتها. والحقيقه يعني دايما في مثل بيقول ان المراه نصف المجتمع، لكن في الواقع الحقيقه المراه هي المجتمع كله. هي نصف صحيح كعدد، لكن هي اللي بتجيب النص الثاني اللي هو الرجاله اللي هو احنا يعني.
Thank you so much. Before moving to, so to speak, the audience here in the room and giving the opportunity to also address your questions and remarks on what we've been hearing from our panelists as well as from our speakers at the very beginning, allow me to summarize just a couple of key points subject to our conversation today. So we've heard how faith-based initiatives from both Islamic as well as Christian perspective can play an important and vital role in supporting family planning efforts. And clearly everyone agrees that multi-sectoral collaboration between government, private sector, and religious institutions is key to achieving these shared goals. And finally, we recognize the role of information and education in dispelling myths and misconceptions about family planning. So just to kind of recap on our conversation so far, I would like now to invite the room to come in on any additional questions to our panelists. So please feel free to raise your hand or signal to us, and I'm sure we have a mic circulating somewhere. Happy to take any questions. Don't be shy. We try.
Or the blood sugar level is going down.
It's going down, yeah. And we have the, we have the honor and opportunity to being the last session for today, which is kind of closing the event as well. So maybe, and then I would ask you for a short answer, Dr. Abla, while we wait on, potential questions coming in. With continued advancement through government initiatives over the last couple of years, how do you think this approach will further catalyze the government's efforts to achieve these goals? So basically, where do you see, an opportunity to further scaling these government initiatives moving forward, in particular when engaging faith-based community approaches?
If I understood the question right, we have tailored our strategic planning for the population file to work in the red zones. We call it red zones, which is the areas where our combined indicators are very low. And if I ask the question, if you have a country of 106 million and you have some with a coverage rate of 66%, and you have areas in this country formulating 27% of the country and have a coverage rate of 22% or less, you will think to start with this area. If this area have a very high faith-related issues, because they are all unfortunate areas where you have the misconception regarding religious and all the social norms are against family planning, this will tell you that if we start with these areas, we are going to achieve the quick wins, what they call it quick win, the implemented 20 to get 80. And this is what we modulated our plan for the coming 3 years, that we are going to cover 73 areas, red zones, who compose 27% of the population. Right. And I think this will help us to reach to the 20.1 in less time.
Thank you so much, Dr. Abla. I think, and Professor Gamal, as you rightfully said, the blood sugar level is going low, which still, obviously gave us an opportunity today to kind of engage in a highly inspiring conversation. And since we doesn't seem to have any question from the audience, which is a good sign.
One question.
Oh, we do have indeed? Okay, please feel free to come in on the conversation.
He is very courageous. We'll have a clap for you.
Hello, my name is Mahmoud Sarwat. I am still studying economics and political science at Cairo University. My coach, I can speak English, but my favorite to speak Arabic.
فيك تسأل بعربي يعني ما في مشكلة يعني.
دلوقتي السؤال موجه لحضراتكم. هل دلوقتي في اختلاف ما بين فكرة تمكين المرأة وفكرة الإهمال هو إهمال التربية للأطفال؟ كنت شايف إن هل في تعارض ولا لا؟ مفيش تعارض ولا حاجة؟ ده جزء وده جزء. شايف
very important question. وإهمال الأطفال. It's very nice question actually.
Dr. Abla, you want to take it?
Because it's coming in very important area. When we talk that empowerment of women اكلمك عربي ولا انجليزي؟ لو بنتكلم عن تمكين المرأة وبنقصد بيها انها تخرج للعمل فتهمل ابنها، نبقى احنا بنبص للتمكين بمنظور ضيق جدا، لانها احنا لما هنمكنها هنخليها تتعلم، ونمكنها يبقى لها صوت وتختار في ما يخص الأسرة وليس يخصها شخصيا، بل ما يخص الأسرة كلها، ونمكنها بأنها يبقى لها دور في تربية أولادها. طب هل ده هيأثر سلبيا على تربية الأطفال؟ في كوت كده بتقول if you educate a man you educated one person, if you educate a woman you educated a generation. And this very important، ان احنا لو بنعلمها هنعلمها علشان تنفع نفسها وعشان تربي الاجيال اللي بعدها. هنخرجها للشغل، لو هتختار تقعد في البيت فترة الاطفال وهم في الجولدن 1000 دايز وبعدين تخرج، ده برضو تمكين، لانها اداناها الحق في الانفورمد تشويس، انها اختارت الفترة اللي هي محتاجة فيها تفضل اولادها انها تقعد معاهم وبعد كده تخرج للعمل. بس هتبقى عندها السترينث انها لما تفكر تخرج للعمل هتخرج للعمل، مش هتبقى non educated non capable ما تقدرش تكسب دخلها. عشان كده تعليمها اداها حقها، زي ما ابونا قال good self esteem. انا واحد صحيح كست، انا واحد صحيح، مش لازم البس بنطلون واعمل شنب عشان ابقى واحد صحيح. انا ليدي لكن واحد صحيح. اوكي. وبعد كده ده ملوش اي علاقه بان احنا نهمل اولادنا، في وقت بنشتغل وفي وقت بنربي اولادنا.
Professor Gamal, please feel free also to comment, and also up Antonius if you do have any additional thoughts, of course.
أنا الحقيقة I would like to أتكلم برضو بالعربي عشان تصل الرسالة. أنا طبعا I endorse كل حاجة قالتها الدكتورة عبلة. This is extremely important. بس أنا هتكلم كobstetrician gynecologist. حضرتك لما بنمكن المرأة بنخليها تتجوز في سن المناسب، ونخليها تحمل في السن المناسب، وعندما تصل لسن الزواج تكون دخلت في التعليم وتعلمت. فإذا السيدة دي اللي احنا مكناها وعلمناها وخليناها في صحة جيدة واتجوزت في السن المناسب، هتلد في السن المناسب. لما تلد في السن المناسب هترعى ابنها أولا هترعى ابنها أثناء الحمل، اللي هي الفترة اللي قالت عليها الأستاذة الدكتورة عبلة، أثناء الحمل ما تعرضش نفسها للأشياء اللي هي بتضر بالجنين بتاعها، ما تعرضش نفسها للممارسات الضارة بالجنين، ترغب في رعاية الحمل وتروح تشوف الطبيب عشان إذا كان في أي مشكلة في الحمل يبقى يعالجها، تذهب في مكان مناسب لأنها متعلمة وفاهمة، تذهب في مكان مناسب عشان تبقى سيف ديليفري. السيف ديليفري دي لها امباكت فظيع، لها اثر فظيع على البرفورمانس بتاع الطفل ده بعد كده لما يكبر، الاي كيو بتاعه، البرفورمانس بتاعه، وقايته من الامراض اللي يتعرض لها نتيجه الولاده تحت عدم اشراف على الاطلاق او تحت اشراف من ليس هو متخصص. رعايتها للطفل زي ما قالت الاستاذه الدكتوره عبله في السنتين الاولانيين اللي هم بيكملوا بقيه ال1000 يوم، بعد كده ذهابها الى هنا تروح تلاقي ميثود اوف كونترسبشن عشان تباعد بين فترات الحمل، لانه ثبت فعلا ان المباعده بين فترات الحمل بتؤثر على صحه الطفل اللي اتولد، وبتزداد الانفنت مورتاليتي لما يبقى في تو كلوز بريجنسيز. فعمر ابدا ما تمكين المراه انه يتعارض مع الطفل. وزي ما قالت الاستاذه الدكتوره عبله، والله اذا هي اختارت وعندها الامكانيات ان هي تقعد في بيتها سنتين عشان تربي طفلها وبعدين ترجع العمل، بس لما ترجع العمل هي مؤهله لانها اتعلمت وفهمت وراعت صحتها كويس وحافظت على صحتها، وبالتالي she will be a better person في ال development of our country and sustainable development of our country. ارجو ان احنا نكون يعني احنا الاثنين جاوبنا على السؤال.
بس سؤال جميل، سؤال جميل.
شكرا على سؤالك على فكره.
And I think, Antonius, please feel free to
يعني
come
بس
in. But
يعني
I'm also I'm being told that we, need to
يعني
wrap
يعني
up.
بس
So I
يعني هو
appreciate your
يعني
thoughts.
هو الحقيقه فعلا سؤال جميل جدا. يعني انا هقول لك بس على حاجه انا شفتها شخصيا. يعني في يعني ما هيش متعلمه، ولادها ابتدوا يتعلموا ويعرفوا، لما كبروا شويه بقوا هم يعني انا اسف يعني بيحتقروا امهم، شايفين امهم ديت قليله خالص. انا احسن منك، انا بعرف اقرا مثلا انجليش، انت ما بتعرفيش حتى عربي، انت كذا انت كذا. طبعا هم مش بيعايروها لا، بس هو في جواهم داخلهم هم حاسين امهم دي صغيره يعني. فليه اسيب الام صغيره؟ ليه ما اخليهاش هي فعلا تبقى زي ما قالت الدكتوره عبله؟ انا متعلمه وانا اخترت ان انا اقعد في البيت بارادتي، بس ولادي شايفيني ايه؟ شايفيني كبيره، وانا اللي هعلمهم في مراحل التعليم بتاعتهم. هتفرق كتير جدا يعني.
Well, thank you so much for the inspiring conversation to all of you. Thank you also, Yves Sassenrath, Hugo Hagen, and of course, Your Excellency, Dr. Abla, for providing opening remarks and inspire all of us and shedding so much light on so many different interrelated topics. And Dr. Abla, as a complimentary quote you just shared with us, I want to also close with an inspirational quote, I believe. When we invest in women and girls, we are investing in the people who invest in everyone else. So with that being said, thank you so much and have a wonderful evening.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much to all of our esteemed panelists. This has been a very informative and a highly engaging panel discussion. Thank you so much, Professor Abla Alalfy, Professor Gamal Serour, Father Antonio Sobhy, and Dr. Samer Lezzaiq. Thank you also to our moderator, Mr. Sami Joost. That concludes today's sessions. Thank you all for your attention and participation throughout the day. We look forward to seeing you tomorrow for more enriching discussions as we continue to shape the future of human development together. Have a great evening.